Hey guys, I want to do a tutorial about placing your houses at the start of the game. It's something that's really simple, but if you don't do it right, you can block off your resources, your farms, or really mess up your economy. On the surface, building houses is pretty simple.
Click the Buildings button, click the Build House button, then click where you want to build the house.
But, like everything in Age of Empires 2, there's a good deal of depth to even the simplest of mechanics. So let's review a few tips and tricks for placing your houses successfully. The first tip, and this is something you might not have realized, is that your villagers always spawn on the left side of your town center. So if you don't believe me, here I've generated a 4v4 on Arabia, and here we see the blue player kind of on this left side above the town center, this red player, villagers on the left side, green player, villagers on the left, yellow player on the left, and so on. We'll just cycle through the rest of the players, and these villagers always on the left side of the town center. Even this mines player with the extra villager, it's on the left side. Now, that's just a quirk in random map generation. The random map generator, for whatever reason, likes to put villagers and other stuff that's close to the TC on the left side in preference to anywhere else. You'll also notice if you look around your sheep, while they can be anywhere, most of the time will be on the left side of the TC. So this is something you want to pay attention to, because when you're thinking about starting the game, queuing your villagers and building your houses, you should be aware that right when the game starts, your villagers are likely to be on the left side of your town center. So you don't want to be thinking, oh, where are my villagers? Maybe they're over here. You know that they're on the left side, so you can just pick them and quickly build a house. One of the questions I see pretty often is, why do we only build 2 houses and not 3? Because we have these 3 starting villagers, why not just build 1 house with each of them? And the answer really is that villagers take 25 seconds to build, and houses, when building with 1 villager, take exactly 25 seconds. So even if I try to be really fast, I'll queue up the villagers, build the houses, and I'm going to be slightly housed. And we'll just wait for that vill to finish, and we'll see that I get housed because this villager won't be able to finish the house in time before that villager comes out of the town center. So what we want to do is use 2 villagers to build the houses, since they build faster than 1 villager. So I'll queue the villagers, build the houses, and now we'll wait for this villager to come out, and we'll see that I end up not being housed this time. So I'll have a more fluid transition to getting the villagers coming out of the TC, and there the house is finished, and the villager comes out.
If more than 1 villager builds a building, it will go up faster.
Now the next thing that could go wrong is if you build the houses too close to your town center. Let's say I build a house there and another one there. The problem with this is that it blocks my farm placement, because these farms are 3x3, so I need that room around the town center in order to place the farm. If I try to place farms here, now the houses are blocking them. And I can still fit quite a few farms around the town center, but it's not as many as I would be able to if I were to just get rid of these houses that are blocking everything and move them a few tiles more outside. On the other hand, there's problems also if you place your houses too far away. Here you might be thinking, oh, let's not block the farms, let's build a house way out here. But the problem is my berries are right there. And if you don't see the berries in the black area, you might build your houses far away and end up blocking off your berries. Now the problem here is, where am I going to build a mill? I really don't have a space for it. Maybe out here, but that's really far from the town center, and I'm not going to be able to run the villagers back if they get attacked by men-at-arms or something. I could delete the house and build the mill there, but then that's just a waste of wood. See, I'm already out of wood, and it's a waste of villager time too, because I have to spend time building another house to replace that. So we don't want to build the houses too far, and we don't want to build them too close either. So our goal is going to be to build the house somewhere in the middle, not too close to the town center, not so far so it blocks anything. And to achieve that, normally what you do is build the house either right next to your villagers, or at most 1 tile away from them. Not too close, not too far. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't want to block those berries. Obviously I can see them at the start of the game, so I just kind of go to the TC, for the villagers, build 1 house, build another house, 1 tile next to the villagers, and that'll be nice. I can kind of fit a mill there. I can fit villagers on both sides if I need to, or later on I could just end up building the mill on this side if I'm afraid of that house blocking stuff. In the other example, I was pretty lucky because I could see my sheep in my starting line of sight, but here there's no sheep to be found. So what do I want to do? Immediately as I see this map, I know the first thing I'm going to want to do is queue villagers and then pick 2 villagers to build a house, but I want to use my other villager to help scout for my sheep. So I want to look at where my villagers and my scout are positioned and quickly come up with a scouting pattern for how I'm going to move both of them around the town center. So Here, what I think I'll do is I'll use these two villagers to build a house. This villager will scout around the top of the town center, and the scout will kind of come to the left and then go around the bottom. I really like scouting this left area first because, as I covered earlier, the random map generation likes to put stuff on the left side of your TC. Sheep are most likely to be over in this area if you don't see them. So let's see what that will look like. I'll just queue the villagers, build a house, and start scouting around. I'll even set the gather point over there in case I don't find the sheep in time. And I can start building another house with them. And there we go. Found the sheep, can send the villagers back, and start taking them just like normal. One of the things I found useful was just actually practicing this start a few times. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And I would just pick, say, the Byzantines because I know they have houses and a pretty standard start. And I'll just pick Arabia with all the standard settings, and I'll launch into the game. And as soon as the game starts, I am immediately going to pause it. And here we go. Wonderful map. I don't see my sheep, and I have to think, how am I going to scout to try to find my sheep? So I see these two villages up here. I'd like to build a house with these two since they're close together. This scout's kind of on the right side, so I'd like to use him to scout. And this villager is kind of on the left side, so I'd like to use her to scout. Because remember, as I said earlier, sheep like to be over here on this left side. So now that I have a plan, I'll just unpause the game and try to execute it. So build a house there, scout with the two of you, kind of come around this way. I see there's a forest there, so I'll just kind of go down, try to scout out here. And now that the house is almost finished, I can move a villager off, try to scout with you as well. Kind of set that on my straggler tree. You can scout too. And man, those sheep are hard to find. Alright, so we'll just come down here. I found all four of them. And that wasn't too bad, found them pretty quickly. And now I can just garrison the villagers, get them to work on that sheep as it comes in. And there you go. So the problem here I need to be aware of is that I only made one house. So as I'm going to my lumber camp, I'll need to be careful to make a second one. But the key there was that I had a plan, and I was able to figure out how to find my sheep quickly just by taking a look at where my starting stuff was. I knew my villagers would be on the left side of the TC, and I could quickly see as I was queuing the villagers that there weren't any sheep. So let's say you're not satisfied with that and you want to do it again. Well, the great thing is you can just go to the menu and restart. And pause again and think, okay, last time the sheep were down here and I didn't find them too quickly. Maybe what I do is I use this villager to scout over here, but instead of taking the scout and going up first, I just go around down here, and as I'm making that house, I'll pull this villager off and scout this area to the right. So let's try that this time. House, villager, and scout all moving. And I'll pull you off. You don't need two villagers on the house the entire time, you just need to make sure that you don't get housed while doing it. And oh look, there we go, that was a better scouting pattern and I found my sheep a lot earlier. And I was slightly housed and I'll need to build a second house, but at least I'll get my sheep under the TC nice and fast. So again, just something you can do to practice. If you don't find your sheep in time, just restart the map and try again. Now let's just take a look at a couple of expert games and see how they build their houses. First we'll look at this wreck from the Viper. He has two villagers, builds a house right next to them, and has the other villager build a house one tile away. He starts looking for his sheep using the scout. We see the berries are there, not blocked by anything. He uses this villager to look for sheep, but then sends it right back to the house once he finds the sheep down here. Once again, we saw two villagers building houses right next to themselves, then using the third one, if you don't see the sheep, to go and help look for them. Next we'll have a wreck from Mr. Yo, and again, he doesn't have his sheep anywhere to see either. He'll build a house down here, use the scout to start moving in a circle, and use his other villager to start moving in another circle. And we'll watch as the scout comes around, he finds the sheep, and immediately he'll take this villager and start building a house. Notice it's in a position where it doesn't block the wood line, and it doesn't block the farms next to his town center. And finally we have this wreck from Hare. We see he sees the sheep, and he puts his house immediately next to those villagers, and one up here. With this house, he saw those trees there, so he tried to avoid them. Unfortunately, sometimes you just get unlucky and you end up blocking yourself even worse, but the main point is he saw those trees and he tried to avoid them, and at least he still does have some room back here where he could put a lumber camp if he wants to, but he does at least have this second wood line down here. In summary, make sure that you have a plan. As you're queuing your villagers, look at your starting units, see where they are, and formulate a plan for building your houses and finding your sheep. Remember that your villas are always going to be on the left side of your town center, and try to build your houses so that you neither block your farms, nor your outside resources such as your berries. Normally, this means building your house within one tile of your starting villagers. And that's just about it. Placing houses isn't too hard, but there's a few little tricks you should learn just to make sure that you do it correctly. You have to do it pretty much every game, so it's a good thing to practice. Hope that helps, and thanks for watching.